their membership in the church. They just left because they were so badly treated by their fellow Unitarian Universalists. Even today, they are very reticent to talk about this. Again, because they're afraid of consequences. This took place in the early 1990s, so we're talking like 25 years ago now, a quarter of a century ago. But even to this day, some of the people involved in reporting Reverend Mac Wallace's rape of teenage Tibetan refugees to the secular authorities, to borrow a phrase from Reverend Dr. John A. Burens, they're afraid to talk about it because they're afraid of possible negative consequences for doing so. Long time no see, Dave. So I saw David Horne go in the church from the look of things. Haven't seen him in a while. Last time I saw him, he was shoving his face into my camera back in September. So anyhow, we'll just continue to circulate here, and we'll have a little time check. But yeah, it's unfortunate that my little chat with John Inder may not have been recorded. But essentially what it does come, and he didn't say a word, he did not in any way respond. But my point was, how is it, John, that you can set yourself up as a consultant to businesses and institutions in terms of how to deal responsibly with sexual harassment in the workplace when, as a leading member of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, you are directly involved in efforts by the Unitarian Church of Montreal and indeed by the larger Unitarian Universalist religious community to conceal clergy sexual misconduct, which includes not just sexual harassment, although it certainly does include that, but even such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. So someone had a little second look at my slogan before going into the church. But that's it. It's like just a little bit of a disconnect there. And I use that word when speaking to John. John, don't you see the disconnect, between setting yourself up as a consultant in terms of how to properly deal with sexual harassment in the workplace, whereas on the other hand, you are, helping your religious community to conceal not just sexual harassment committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers and Sunday school teachers, etc., but that you are helping your religious community conceal such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape committed by certain Unitarian Universalist ministers and certain Unitarian Universalist Sunday school teachers. So yeah, a little bit of a hypocrisy there, I think. A little bit of a lack of integrity there, to say the least. So anyway, we'll just continue to protest here for, until the second segment of video runs out anyway. I'm debating, how much longer I want to protest. It will have been over an hour when this segment of video ends automatically. In fact, we will just see how much time is left. 8.5 minutes. So yeah, we'll protest for another 8.5 minutes or so. And then we'll decide if we want to continue. But I'm leaning towards calling it a day for various reasons. I actually do have some important things that I want to do later in the day, and I need to prepare for that. And I think I've had a pretty good little protest this morning already, so I don't need to extend it further in time, really. Had a couple of interesting little interactions, one in particular anyway. So Anywho, yeah, so we have seen a few other people show up for the church service, some of them late, which is pretty much par for the course for Unitarians. Yeah, the service has been going on for 16 minutes now, and we still got people, stragglers arriving. Oh, there's David Horne again at the door. So yeah, the last time I saw David, he was busy assaulting me, and he even shoved his face into my camera. And at that point, I just stopped, because I was walking backwards away from him to basically avoid being hit and so on, trying to keep my distance. But he got close, and he literally shoved his face like right into my lens, and at that point I just stopped walking backwards. So the lens pressed into his face rather harder than he was expecting, because I presume that he thought I'd continue walking backwards with his face shoved into my lens for some reason. But no, that did not happen. I thought I needed to send him a little message that no, you don't shove your face into my lens. So I just stopped walking backwards. And poor little David Horne got a cut lip out of the deal, and of course got even more angry than he was. But it did actually, I think, send the message that he didn't really want to take things too much further. And he didn't, in terms of his physical attacks on me after that point. You know, he continued to, you know, come at me and try to get close to me. I basically had to put my arm out to keep him away from me. You know, basically literally had my hand on his chest, you know, just to keep him at a distance. But he didn't actually, to the best of my recollection, I don't believe he hit me. Oh, he did wipe the blood from his lip on my shirt. So some people would take a dim view of that. But yeah, that's a you know, it sort of wound down from that point. You know, he had been hitting my camera and grabbing me and so on, and after he got the cut lip. Well, no, actually, now that I think about it, he did grab me after the cut lip. But nonetheless, it didn't escalate from that point, really. It went towards de-escalation, which was, you know, what I had hoped for. Basically send a message to the guy like, hey, you know, you might want to think about how far you want to take this, David. Because, you know, you might think you can beat the shit out of me, and you might actually be able to, but you might not come out of it unscathed yourself, and you might end up on the wrong end of an assault charge. So I think Dave realized that he, you know, better manage his anger better. So anyway, yeah, literally the first time I've seen him since that assault on me back in September of last year. And yes, if anyone wants to see that, just you know, run a search on David Horne, Montreal Unitarian, in Google or YouTube's search engine. You'll find the video in question. You'll find a couple other videos, I think, too, where he was belligerent, verbally anyway. But anyway, it's the one shot in September of 2016, which shows David Horne physically attacking me. So, just one of the assaults that I've been subjected to by Montreal Unitarians, or indeed non-Montreal Unitarians. You know, they tend to be fairly low-level assaults, but they are assaults nonetheless. So, just moving towards wrapping up this protest, I think. Yeah, I think, you know, basically, I think the video recording is going to wind up close to 11 o'clock, which is when I usually end the protest anyway. So we shall probably just wrap it up when the video wraps up. So yeah, we got 7 more minutes to go. maybe just have another look at the Unitarian Church of Montreal's mission statement here, in light of what I just said about David Horne. You know, our spiritual community welcomes, nurtures, inspires, challenges. Together we take action in the world. Well, one of the actions that some Montreal Unitarians take in the world is to physically assault me. David Horne has physically assaulted me. Pierre Bennett has physically assaulted me. A female Unitarian Universalist assaulted me in Toronto when I was protesting outside the annual meeting of the Canadian Unitarian Council some years ago. And oh yes, Kenneth Howard QC technically assaulted me when he stole my picket signs back in the spring of 2001. Oh, and yes, not just Kenneth Howard QC, but various other Montreal Unitarians and even non-Montreal Unitarians do in fact steal my picket signs on occasion. In fact, I had a theft of my picket signs last year, if I remember correctly, but there have been various other thefts of my picket signs by either Montreal Unitarians or non-Montreal Unitarians over the years. I spoke about that in some detail in a previous segment, so I won't go into it in more detail, but you know, so some of the actions that Montreal Unitarians take in the world are, as I have pointed out previously, unethical, immoral, borderline criminal, actually criminal, and I dare say batshit crazy, some of them. Not all of them, you know, but some are just crazy, you know, in the general sense of the word, like really crazy in the general sense of the word crazy, which is why I like to use the term batshit crazy to describe some of the actions that Montreal Unitarians and indeed top-level UUA leaders take in the world. You know, and then yes, we can ask, well, what exactly do Montreal Unitarians welcome? What do they nurture? What do they inspire? What do they challenge? Well, they certainly challenge my protest against Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse and other Unitarian Universalist injustices, abuses, and hypocrisy. So that's something they challenge.